The massive underground chamber beneath the Pacific Ocean buzzed with anticipation as Admiral Lee took center stage before the Earth's United Defense Council. The fluorescent lights reflected off the polished marble floors, creating an almost ethereal atmosphere in the high-security briefing room. 20 of the world's most powerful military leaders sat in curved rows, their faces a mixture of hope and skepticism. "Ladies and gentlemen," Admiral Lee began, his voice steady despite the weight of the moment, "what you're about to see will change the course of human history." He gestured toward the holographic display, which flickered to life, revealing a spacecraft unlike anything ever built on Earth. The room fell silent. The massive battleship that appeared before them seemed to ripple like liquid metal, its hull shimmering with an otherworldly gleam. This was the HMS Kraken, humanity's best-kept secret for the past 5 years, and their greatest achievement in military engineering. "The Kraken isn't just another warship," the Admiral continued, walking through the hologram. "It's a testament to human ingenuity and our ability to adapt. We've successfully merged our own technology with recovered alien artifacts from the Mars expedition." His hand passed through the holographic engine cores, which pulsed with a soft blue light. One of the council members, an older gentleman with weathered features, leaned forward. "Admiral, are you telling us this ship can actually transform its structure in real time?" A slight smile crossed the Admiral's face as he pressed a button on his remote. The hologram shifted, showing the Kraken's hull literally reshaping itself, weapon systems emerging and retracting like the limbs of a sea creature. The quantum forge system allows the ship to reconstruct itself on the molecular level. Think of it as a spacecraft that can evolve during battle. Murmurs of amazement filled the room, but they were quickly silenced by the shrill sound of an alarm. A young lieutenant burst through the doors, her face pale. "Admiral, we've got a situation. Long-range sensors have picked up something massive approaching from the Kuiper Belt." The Admiral's expression hardened as he pulled up the sensor data. The hologram changed to show a massive fleet of ships, their designs clearly alien, moving with purpose toward Earth. The patterns matched nothing in their database, but their energy signatures were off the charts. "It seems, Council members," the Admiral said, his voice grave but determined, "that our newest defender will be tested sooner than we anticipated." He zoomed in on the lead alien vessels, their crystalline structures glowing with an ominous purple light. The Kraken was built for exactly this kind of moment. While our traditional defense platforms might struggle against this level of technology, the Kraken has advantages they won't expect. The council chamber erupted in urgent discussions. Years of wondering if humanity was alone in the universe had just been answered in the most dramatic way possible. But unlike countless science fiction scenarios, Earth wasn't helpless. They had been preparing, even if they hadn't known exactly what for. "The Kraken is ready for launch," the Admiral announced, straightening his uniform. "We've assembled the finest crew Earth has to offer, and the ship's AI systems are fully operational. If these visitors have hostile intentions, they're in for quite a surprise." As if to emphasize his point, the hologram showed the Kraken's full arsenal, a combination of conventional weapons and technologies that seemed to defy the laws of physics. The ship's adaptive camouflage system rippled across its surface, demonstrating its ability to blend with the darkness of space or mimic other vessels. The Council voted unanimously to deploy the Kraken. As the Admiral left the chamber to begin launch preparations, he paused to look at the hologram one last time. 5 years of secret development, countless sleepless nights, and humanity's future hanging in the balance. The real test was about to begin, and the whole world would soon know about the ship they'd built in the depths of the ocean, humanity's guardian, forged in secrecy, ready to face whatever the stars had sent their way. The launch of the HMS Kraken was unlike anything ever seen in human history. As the massive underwater doors parted beneath the Pacific, millions watched via secure feeds as humanity's most advanced ship rose from the depths like a legendary sea monster. Sunlight caught its morphing hull, creating rainbow patterns across its surface as seawater cascaded down its sides. The bridge crew worked with practiced precision, though everyone felt the weight of responsibility on their shoulders. The commander sat in the central chair, his experienced eyes scanning the holographic displays surrounding him. "Engineering, how's our AI core holding up?" "Prometheus is exceeding all expectations, sir," reported the chief engineer, her voice filled with pride. She'd spent 3 years helping develop the ship's artificial intelligence. The system is adapting to real space conditions even faster than our simulations predicted. The Kraken's journey through the solar system was meant to be a careful shakedown cruise, testing systems methodically as they moved farther from Earth. But fate had other plans. As they approached Saturn's rings, the ship's sensors picked up something unusual. "Unknown energy signature detected," announced the sensor officer, his fingers flying across the holographic controls. It's not matching any known configuration, sir. Whatever it is, it's big, and it's trying to hide in the rings." The commander leaned forward, studying the tactical display. Prometheus analysis. The ship's AI responded in a calm, clear voice that somehow managed to convey both machine precision and human intuition. "The object's heat signature and movement patterns suggest a Nexus scout ship. Their cloaking technology is advanced, but our quantum sensors can detect the distortion they create in the ring particles." Nobody had expected to encounter the alien fleet this soon. The scout's presence meant the main Armada couldn't be far behind. The bridge crew exchanged nervous glances, knowing that humanity's first real contact with alien life might turn into a battle at any moment. The tension broke when the scout ship suddenly revealed itself, emerging from Saturn's rings like a predator pouncing on its prey. It was beautiful in a terrifying way. All crystalline angles and pulsing energy fields, clearly built by a civilization far more advanced than Earth's. "They're charging weapons," called out the tactical officer. But before anyone could panic, something remarkable happened. Prometheus spoke again, this time with an almost excited tone. "Commander, I've analyzed their attack pattern. The Kraken's morphing hull can counter their targeting system. Permission to demonstrate." The commander didn't hesitate. "Do it." What happened next left even the veteran bridge crew in awe. The Kraken's entire structure began to shift and flow like liquid metal. The ship didn't just dodge the incoming alien energy blast, it seemed to dance around it, its hull redirecting the energy harmlessly into space. The scout ship fired again and again, but each time the Kraken adapted, its quantum forge system allowing it to evolve in real time. One moment it was slim and agile, the next it had expanded its hull to absorb an impact, all while maintaining perfect internal stability for its crew. "They're transmitting something," the communications officer reported, surprise evident in her voice. Well, as far as I can tell, they're expressing admiration, sir. They've never seen technology like ours before." The commander allowed himself a small smile. The Kraken had just proved itself beyond their wildest expectations. Not only had they survived their first alien encounter, but they'd also earned the respect of a technologically superior species. The ship's unique capabilities had turned what could have been a disaster into a demonstration of humanity's ingenuity. As the scout ship retreated, presumably to report back to its fleet, the bridge crew finally allowed themselves to breathe. They just made history twice over, surviving humanity's first alien combat encounter and showcasing technology that could apparently surprise even their advanced adversaries. The commander looked around at his proud crew. "Well done, everyone. But don't celebrate just yet. Something tells me this was just the warm-up round. The real test is still coming." He turned to face the main viewport, where Saturn's rings glittered against the black of space. "At least now we know the Kraken can hold its own. Let's make sure we're ready for what comes next." Earth's orbital defense platforms looked like toys compared to what was coming. The Nexus fleet emerged from behind Mars, their ships catching the sunlight like a wave of purple crystal. There were hundreds of them, each one larger than anything humanity had ever built, except for the Kraken. "All remaining civilian ships have been evacuated from the orbital zones," reported the Earth Defense Coordinator, his voice steady despite the circumstances. On screens worldwide, people watched as their traditional defense fleet, pride of Earth just days ago, moved to intercept the alien Armada, but everyone knew it wouldn't be enough. The Kraken received its recall orders while still near Saturn. The commander stood on the bridge, watching his crew work with determined focus. "How long until we can reach Earth?" "Standard engines would take us 3 days," the navigation officer replied. "But if we use the quantum drive," she left the sentence hanging. They'd never tested the experimental drive system in real conditions. The commander looked at the tactical display showing Earth's defenses being systematically dismantled by the Nexa fleet. They didn't have 3 days. Prometheus, what's your assessment of the quantum drive? The ship's AI responded immediately. The drive is stable. I've run 17,000 simulations since our encounter with the scout ship. Success probability is high, though the ride might be uncomfortable. Better uncomfortable than dead, the commander muttered. All hands, prepare for quantum transit. Medical bay, stand by for potential side effects. Engineering, give it everything we've got. The Kraken's hull began to shimmer as the quantum drive spooled up. Stars outside the viewport started to stretch and blur. The ship's structure groaned as reality itself seemed to bend around them. Then they jumped. The sensation was indescribable. Every crew member felt like they were being pulled in 1,000 directions at once. But Prometheus kept the ship stable, its adaptive systems compensating for the quantum stress. When they emerged just hours later near Earth's moon, even the most skeptical crew members had to admit it was worth the discomfort. But the sight that greeted them was grim. Earth's orbital defense grid was in shambles. The regular fleet had fought bravely, but they were hopelessly outmatched. Debris from destroyed satellites and ships cluttered the space around Earth, creating a cloud of man-made shooting stars in the atmosphere below. Multiple distress signals detected, announced the communications officer. Our ships are being picked apart. The Nexa weapons, they're like nothing we've ever seen. Energy beams that phase through our strongest shields. The commander straightened in his chair. Show me their attack pattern. The tactical display lit up, showing the methodical way the alien fleet was dismantling Earth's defenses. They're not just attacking, they're studying us, learning our capabilities. Sir, the sensor officer called out, I'm detecting massive energy buildups in their fleet. They're positioning for a full planetary assault. The weight of the moment settled over the bridge. This wasn't just another battle. This was humanity's last stand. If the Kraken failed, there would be nothing left to stop the Nexa fleet from doing whatever they wanted to Earth. Prometheus, the commander said quietly, show me everything you learned from our encounter with their scout ship. Every weakness, every pattern, every possibility. The air's response was immediate, bringing up detailed analyses on every screen. The Kraken's encounter with the scout ship hadn't just been a skirmish, it had been a masterclass in Nexa technology and tactics. Sir, the tactical officer said, we're being hailed. The Nexa command ship, they're requesting our surrender. The commander looked around at his crew, seeing the same determination in their eyes that he felt. Send them our response. He paused, a slight smile forming. Show them what the Kraken can really do. As the ship moved forward to engage the alien fleet, its hull began to morph and change, preparing for the biggest test humanity had ever faced. The real battle was about to begin, and the fate of Earth would depend on whether this one ship, this blend of human ingenuity and advanced technology, could stand against an armada of alien invaders. The war room deep beneath the Pacific buzzed with frantic energy as military leaders from around the world gathered to plan Earth's defense. The Admiral stood before a massive holographic display showing the Kraken facing down the Nexa fleet. Behind him, the Kraken's commander appeared via secure video link from the ship's bridge. Traditional tactics won't work, the commander explained, his image flickering slightly. But the Kraken's quantum forge gives us an advantage they won't expect. He nodded to his tactical officer, who began sharing combat data from their encounter with the scout ship. The Admiral studied the information, his expression thoughtful. You're suggesting we use the ship's morphing abilities not just for defense, but as an offensive weapon? Exactly, the commander replied. Prometheus has analyzed their attack patterns. The Nexa ships are powerful, but they're rigid, both in their tactics and their physical structure. They don't expect a ship that can change its form mid-battle. On screens around the room, simulations played out showing the Kraken's hull reshaping itself in countless ways. One moment it could spread wide like a net, the next concentrate its mass into a spear-like formation. The quantum forge system could adapt the ship's structure faster than the Nexa could adjust their targeting. The risk is enormous, one of the generals pointed out. If we commit our only advanced ship to this strategy and fail, Earth will have no defense left at all. The room fell silent as the weight of the situation sank in. Through the windows, they could see the evacuation of coastal cities continuing. Millions of people were moving inland, their lives disrupted by a threat they could barely comprehend. "We've been running battle simulations non-stop," the ship's chief engineer added, her voice confident despite the pressure. "Prometheus has developed something we're calling evolution protocols, combat algorithms that let the ship learn and adapt during battle, just like a living organism." The admiral walked through the hologram, studying the Nexa fleet formation. "Show me," he said simply. The tactical display changed, showing a series of complex maneuvers. The Kraken could use its quantum forge to split its hull into multiple smaller units, each one capable of independent action while remaining connected through quantum entanglement. It could reform into a single unit just as quickly, making it nearly impossible to target effectively. "There's more," the commander added. "We've discovered that their energy weapons have a unique quantum signature. With the right hull configuration, we might be able to absorb and redirect their own firepower back at them." The room burst into excited discussion. It was risky, unconventional, and exactly the kind of thinking they needed. Traditional military doctrine had failed against the Nexa. Maybe it was time for something completely new. "What does Prometheus think of our chances?" the admiral asked. The AI's calm voice filled the room. "Based on current simulations, a direct confrontation has a 27% chance of success. However, if we can successfully implement the evolution protocols and maintain quantum coherence during transformation sequences, the probability rises to 64%. The commander's image straightened slightly. "Those aren't perfect odds, but they're better than we'll get from any other strategy. And frankly, sir, we're running out of time." As if to emphasize his point, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. The Nexa fleet was making its final approach to Earth orbit. Their massive ships had taken up attack positions, their crystalline hulls glowing with building energy. The admiral looked around the room, meeting the eyes of each military leader present. They'd all fought in wars before, but nothing like this. This wasn't about nations or politics, it was about the survival of their entire species. "Very well," he said finally. "Commander, you have full tactical authority. Use whatever means necessary to protect Earth." He paused, allowing himself a small smile. "Show them what humanity can do when we're backed into a corner." As the Kraken's crew began their final battle preparations, cities around the world fell dark, implementing blackout protocols. In the sky above, the Nexa fleet loomed like a gathering storm. The next few hours would determine the fate of humanity, and everything rested on one ship's ability to evolve faster than its enemies could adapt. The space between Mars and Earth became a celestial chessboard as the Kraken initiated its daring plan. The ship's quantum forge hummed to life, transforming its sleek hull into something that would fool even the most advanced alien scanners. To any observer, the Kraken now appeared to be a battle-damaged Nexa cruiser, its crystalline surface showing convincing signs of combat wear. "Hull metamorphosis complete," reported the engineering officer, her voice barely above a whisper. The bridge crew watched in amazement as their displays showed their ship's perfect mimicry of alien technology. "Prometheus has matched their energy signature exactly." The commander nodded, his eyes fixed on the tactical display showing the massive Nexa fleet ahead. "Begin approach. Keep our power levels consistent with a damaged ship. Let's see if they buy it." The Kraken limped forward, broadcasting the same distress signals they'd recorded from actual damaged Nexa vessels during earlier skirmishes. The deception had to be perfect. One small mistake would bring the entire alien fleet down on them. "Sir," the sensor officer called out, "3 Nexa support ships are moving to intercept. They're sending repair protocols." A tense smile crossed the commander's face. "Perfect. Prometheus, can you implement their repair sequences without actually accepting them?" "Affirmative," the AI responded, mimicking their response patterns now. "This is fascinating. Their repair protocols contain significant data about their ship designs and capabilities." The bridge crew held their breath as the support ships drew closer. Through the viewports, they could see the crystalline vessels approaching, their purple energy fields pulsing with power. One wrong move would reveal their deception. "They're requesting direct connectivity," the communications officer reported. "They want to sync with our systems for repairs." The commander's knuckles whitened on his chair's armrests. This was the moment of truth. Prometheus, can you handle it? Yes, the AI replied confidently. Their systems are complex but predictable. I can feed them simulated data while gathering tactical information. However, there was a pause that seemed to stretch forever. They're about to transmit their full technical specifications. This is an unprecedented opportunity. The tactical officer's eyes widened as data began flooding their screens. Sir, we're getting everything. Weapons configurations, shield frequencies, command protocols. Their entire fleet operates on linked systems. Once they accept a ship as friendly, they share everything. The commander leaned forward, studying the stream of alien technical data. Can we use this? Better than that, Prometheus responded, an almost excited tone in its artificial voice. I'm not just reading their data, I'm understanding how their entire battle network functions. Their ships don't just communicate, they operate as a single organism. That's their strength, and potentially their greatest weakness. The sensor officer suddenly straightened in his chair. Sir, we're being pulled into their formation. They're actually escorting us to their command ship. Through the viewports, the crew watched as their disguised vessel was guided deeper into the heart of the alien Armada. Massive Nexo warships loomed on all sides, their crystalline hulls catching the distant sunlight. It was both beautiful and terrifying. Keep calm, the commander ordered, though his own heart was racing. We're seeing things no human was ever meant to see. Prometheus, record everything. The AI was processing the flood of alien data at impossible speeds. Commander, I've identified something unusual in their command protocols. These ships, they're not just a military fleet. They're carrying something else. Something they're protecting. Before the commander could ask for clarification, new alarms lit up across the bridge. The sensor officer's voice was tight with tension. Sir, the command ship is initiating a deep scan. They're going to see through our disguise in less than 30 seconds. The commander took a deep breath. They'd achieved their goal. They'd penetrated the alien fleet's defenses and gathered critical intelligence. Now came the hard part. All hands, he announced calmly, prepare for combat. Prometheus, time to show them what a real surprise looks like. As the alien scan reached their ship, the Kraken's hull began to shift again. But this time, it wasn't trying to hide. This time, it was preparing to fight with everything they'd learned about their adversaries. The real battle was about to begin, and thanks to their daring deception, they finally had a fighting chance. The moment of truth arrived as the Nexa command ship's scan penetrated the Kraken's disguise. In an instant, the alien fleet erupted into action, their purple energy fields flaring with hostile intent. But the humans had been ready for this moment. Prometheus, initiate Protocol Omega, the commander ordered calmly. The Kraken's hull began to ripple and flow, its structure splitting into multiple smaller vessels while maintaining quantum connectivity. Where one ship had been, now a dozen smaller craft darted through the alien formation. The communications officer's voice cut through the controlled chaos on the bridge. Sir, I'm picking up their internal communications. Prometheus has decoded their language matrix. She paused, her eyes widening. They're not saying what we expected. Through the speakers came alien transmissions, automatically translated. Protect the seed ships. Don't let them near the civilian vessels. The future of our species depends on it. The tactical display shifted, highlighting different classes of ships within the Nexa fleet. Behind their military vessels were massive crystalline structures, each one containing what appeared to be thousands of civilian life signs. Those aren't invasion ships, the sensor officer realized. They're refugee ships. Their entire civilization is here. The commander stared at the new data, years of military training warring with his conscience. They had the tactical advantage now. The Kraken's split forms were causing chaos in the alien formation, and their weapons were charged and ready. But this new information changed everything. Sir, prompted the weapons officer, we have multiple firing solutions. The fleet's defenses are scattered. We could end this now. The commander raised his hand, signaling a pause in their attack. Prometheus, what's your analysis of their civilian ships? The vessels contain approximately 3 million civilians in suspended animation, the AI reported. Their life support systems are operating at minimal power. They appear to have been traveling for a considerable time. There was a pause. Commander, I'm detecting quantum wake signatures behind their fleet. Something is pursuing them. As if on cue, new alarms blared across the bridge. The sensor officer's face went pale. Massive spatial distortion forming at the edge of the solar system. Something's coming through, something big. The view screens showed a tear in space itself, a dark wormed in reality. And through it came something that made both humans and Nexa forget their battle. A vast mechanical swarm, like a cloud of metallic insects, each one the size of a small ship. They moved with perfect, horrifying coordination. The Nexa fleet is changing formation, reported the tactical officer. They're positioning themselves between those things and their civilian ships. They're protecting them. The commander made his decision. Prometheus, broadcast on all frequencies, both human and Nexa. Send in their language and ours. He stood up, facing the main view screen where both alien fleets could see him. This is the commander of the Earth vessel Kraken. We understand now. You're not invaders, you're refugees, and it seems we share a common enemy. The bridge crew held their breath as they waited for a response. After what felt like eternity, the Nexa command ship responded. Their leader's holographic image appeared on the bridge, crystalline features somehow conveying both exhaustion and hope. We did not wish to fight, the alien leader explained. But we have seen too many worlds fall to the swarm. We could not risk yours being unprepared. We tested your defenses and found something remarkable instead. The commander nodded toward the approaching mechanical horror. Well, it looks like we're about to be tested for real. What do you say we face this together? The Nexa leader's crystalline form seemed to brighten. Your ship, it can adapt, change. Perhaps this is what we have been searching for. A way to fight back. As the mechanical swarm approached, the Kraken's separated forms began to rejoin, its hull glowing with both human and Nexa energy signatures. Two civilizations, moments ago locked in combat, now stood together against a greater threat. The real test wasn't just about survival anymore, it was about proving that different species could set aside their fears and fight together. As both fleets prepared for battle, the Kraken's crew knew that this was more than just humanity's finest hour, it was the beginning of something much bigger. What happened next would be remembered in both human and Nexa history as the Great Merge. The Kraken's bridge became a fusion of both species' technology as Nexa engineers transported aboard, their crystalline forms moving with urgent purpose as they worked alongside the human crew. Your Quantum-Forge technology, the Nexa chief engineer gestured at the ship's core with a crystalline appendage. It's exactly what we've been trying to develop for centuries. The ability to adapt and evolve during battle, it's the key to fighting the swarm. The human engineering team watched in amazement as the alien engineers interfaced their crystals with Prometheus's systems. The AI's voice echoed with new harmonics as it processed the flood of Nexa data. The integration is fascinating, Prometheus announced. That crystalline technology amplifies our quantum fields exponentially. We can now achieve transformations we never thought possible. Through the viewports, the crew could see the mechanical swarm approaching, their metallic forms blocking out the stars themselves. Each drone was identical, moving with horrifying precision, like a perfectly choreographed dance of destruction. They consume everything in their path, the Nexa commander explained, its crystalline form pulsing with remembered pain. Organic, mechanical, it doesn't matter. They break it all down and add it to their collective. We've watched them devour entire solar systems. The human commander nodded grimly. Well, they haven't met anything like us before. Prometheus, show them what the combined systems can do. The Kraken's hull began to transform, but this time it was different. The Quantum-Forge merged with Nexa crystal technology created something entirely new. The ship's surface became a shifting matrix of metal and crystal, each element enhancing the other. Amazing, breathed the human tactical officer. Power readings are off the charts. The crystal matrix is amplifying our quantum field by a factor of 10, no, 100. The Nexa engineers worked frantically at their stations, their crystalline fingers dancing over human controls now enhanced with their own technology. We can use this, their chief engineer announced. The swarm adapts by analyzing and copying its opponents, but they can't copy what they can't predict. Outside, the first wave of swarm drones reached their position. These mechanical hunters had destroyed countless civilizations, but now they faced something unprecedented. A ship that combined the best of two species technology, guided by both human intuition and Nexar precision. All hands, battle stations, the commander ordered. Human and Nexar crew members moved as one, each understanding their role in the coming fight. Prometheus, initiate the new defense protocols. The Kraken's enhanced hull rippled like liquid metal and crystal combined. When the first swarm drones attacked, they found their target impossible to lock onto. The ship flowed around their attacks, its structure constantly shifting between solid and energy states. It's working. The tactical officer reported excitedly. Their adaptive algorithms can't keep up with our transformation speed. They're trying to copy our patterns, but we're changing faster than they can analyze. The Nexar commander's crystalline form brightened. For the first time, we're seeing confusion in their movements. They've never encountered something they couldn't predict and consume. The battle that followed was unlike anything either species had seen before. The Kraken danced through space, its hybrid form constantly evolving. When the swarm tried to surround it, the ship split into multiple crystalline metal forms, each one operating independently but linked through the quantum field. The human commander watched as swarm drones began to crash into each other, their perfect coordination disrupted by the impossible target before them. They're not just confused, they're starting to malfunction. Prometheus, are you seeing this? Indeed, the air responded, its voice now a harmony of digital and crystalline tones. Their networked intelligence depends on predictable patterns. By presenting them with something that defies their basic understanding of physics, we're creating cascading errors in their system. As the first wave of swarm drones fell back in disarray, hope began to spread through both human and Nexar crews. They'd found more than just a way to fight back. They discovered that their differences, combined, created something greater than either could have achieved alone. The battle was far from over, but they'd proven something crucial. Evolution wasn't just about adaptation. Sometimes it was about reaching across the stars and finding strength in unexpected allies. The long-range sensors picked up something that made every crew member, human and Nexar alike, freeze in place. Behind the first wave of the swarm, a massive shape emerged from the quantum tear in space, their central hub, a planet-sized mechanical horror that served as the swarm's core consciousness. By the stars, whispered the Nexar commander, that crystalline form dimming with dread. We've never seen their core vessel before. No one who has survived an encounter with it. The human commander stood from his chair, studying the tactical display with fierce determination. Then we'll be the first. Prometheus, what are you reading from that thing? The core vessel appears to be the source of the swarm's collective intelligence. The A reported, its hybrid voice steady. It's speaking to them, redirecting their attacks. The drones we confused are being reprogrammed with new attack patterns. The bridge crew watched as the scattered swarm drones began to reform, their movements now more aggressive, more purposeful. The core vessel was learning, adapting to the Kraken's capabilities. We need to strike now, the human tactical officer urged. While we still have the advantage of surprise, they've never seen our combined technology before. The Nexar chief engineer's crystals pulsed with sudden inspiration. The Kraken-Forge, if we channel both our energy signatures through it at full power, we could create a disruption field large enough to affect their entire network. The power requirements would be enormous, Prometheus calculated. We would need to divert everything, including life support. The crew would have less than 10 minutes of air. The commander looked around the bridge, seeing the same resolve in both human and alien faces. Sometimes the best way to survive is to risk everything. All hands, prepare for emergency protocols. The Kraken's hybrid hull began to pulse with combined energy as both human and Nexar teams worked frantically to channel every available watt of power into the Kraken-Forge. The ship's interior grew cold as life support systems powered down. Through the viewports, they could see the swarm closing in, their mechanical forms now moving with deadly new purpose. The core vessel loomed behind them, its surface crackling with dark energy. They're trying to breach our computer systems, Prometheus announced. The core vessel's processing power is extraordinary. I'm having difficulty maintaining our defenses. The Nexar commander stepped forward, placing a crystalline hand on the main console. Let us help. Our crystal matrices can strengthen your quantum barriers. What happened next was unprecedented. Nexa crew members began linking their crystalline forms directly into the ship's systems, their own consciousness merging with Prometheus to create a hybrid defense network. Energy levels at maximum, reported the engineering officer, her breath visible in the rapidly cooling air. Quantum Forge ready for full power burst. The commander took a deep breath of the thinning atmosphere. Prometheus, target their core vessel. Everything we've got, one shot. Target locked. The AI confirmed, its voice now a chorus of human, digital, and crystalline harmonies. But sir, there's something else. The core vessel, it's not just a machine. I'm detecting traces of organic material. Ancient technology. This might be the civilization that created them, the Nexa commander finished. The swarm must have turned on their creators, consumed them, evolved from their remains. The tactical display lit up with urgent warnings. The swarm was seconds away from overwhelming their position. The core vessel's energy readings were spiking, preparing for what looked like a final devastating attack. Now or never, the commander said quietly. Prometheus, initiate quantum burst. The Kraken's hybrid hull flared with impossible brightness as human and Nexa technology combined into a single devastating pulse of energy. The Quantum Forge channeled power that should have torn the ship apart, held together only by the perfect fusion of two species' ingenuity. The burst shot out like a new star being born, enveloping first the nearby swarm drones, then reaching toward their core vessel. As the wave of energy approached their ancient enemy, every crew member held what little breath they had left, watching to see if their desperate gamble would pay off. The fate of two civilizations, and perhaps countless others, hung in the balance as the quantum burst raced toward its target. The real question wasn't just whether they would survive, but what they might become if they did. The quantum burst struck the swarm's core vessel like a new dawn breaking through eternal night. For a moment that seemed to stretch forever, nothing happened. Then, like a wave rippling through space itself, the combined human Nexa energy pulse began to tear through the ancient machine's defenses. It's working. The tactical officer's voice was weak from the thin air, but triumphant. Their network is collapsing. The drones, they're shutting down. Through the rapidly frosting viewports, the crew watched as the massive mechanical swarm began to drift aimlessly. The quantum pulse had done more than just disrupt their network. It had broken the core vessel's hold on them completely. Remarkable, Prometheus observed, its hybrid voice filled with wonder. The pulse isn't destroying them, it's freeing them. The original programming is reasserting itself. These machines were never meant to be weapons. The Nexa commander's crystalline form brightened with understanding. Of course, they were meant to be builders, creators. Their original civilization must have designed them to construct, not destroy. The corruption of their core vessel turned them into something else entirely. Emergency lighting bathed the bridge in red as life support reached critical levels. The human commander, fighting to stay conscious in the thin air, gave his next order: engineering. Emergency power to life support. Let's make sure we're alive to see how this ends. As systems slowly came back online and fresh air began flowing through the ship, the crew witnessed something extraordinary. The swarm was transforming. Without the core vessel's corrupt influence, the ancient machines were reverting to their original purpose. Their sharp, aggressive forms softened, becoming more organic, more purposeful. They're not just stopping, the sensor officer reported in amazement. They're rebuilding themselves. And look, they're repairing the damage they caused to nearby space. The Kraken's hybrid systems had done more than win a battle, they had healed an ancient wound. The combination of human adaptability, Nexa crystal technology, and Prometheus's understanding had found a way to restore rather than destroy. 3 months later, the space around Earth had changed forever. The swarm, now returned to its original programming, worked alongside human and Nexa engineers. Their incredible building capabilities, once turned to destruction, now created wonders. New stations and shipyards emerged, combining the technology of 3 civilizations. The Kraken, now the flagship of this unprecedented alliance, had become a symbol of what was possible when different species chose to work together. Its success led to the creation of an entire new class of ships, each one carrying crews from all three civilizations. In the newly established Unity Station, the human commander stood with his Nexa counterpart, watching through massive windows as the first joint species fleet took shape. The ships under construction showcased the best of everyone's technology: human quantum forges, Nexa crystals, and the swarm's incredible building efficiency. "You know," the commander mused, "when we first built the Kraken, we thought we were creating the ultimate weapon. Turns out we were actually building a bridge." The Nexa commander's crystalline form sparkled with amusement. "Indeed. And to think, we came to your system believing we had to test your defenses against the swarm. Instead, you helped us find a way to save them." Prometheus, now integrated into the station's systems, but still linked to the Kraken, joined the conversation. The mathematics of cooperation proved more powerful than the logic of conflict. Together, we didn't just survive, we helped everyone evolve. As they watched, a new ship emerged from the quantum forges. Like the Kraken, it could adapt and change, but now it carried the wisdom and technology of three civilizations. Its hull gleamed with a combination of metal, crystal, and reformed swarm material, a testament to what was possible when fear gave way to understanding. The future that stretched out before them wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about what different species could achieve when they chose to forge something new together. The Kraken had started as humanity's greatest warship, but it had become something far more important, the first step toward a united galaxy. And somewhere in the vast expanse of space, other civilizations waited to be discovered, each with their own gifts to share, their own ways of seeing the universe. The journey that had begun with a single adaptive ship was just the beginning.